Let's now interact with the chairperson of the NCCE and Deputy Director of the JES, Director General of the JES, Anthony Boateng, on the latest so far. Let me begin with Anthony Boateng, who is Deputy Director General of the JES. Mr. Boateng, so a statement was issued by the JES yesterday stipulating that some punishment should be meted out to the students. Can you quickly give us a summary of what you wanted to put out?
Thank you very much and good afternoon. Yes, what has happened is that, as we did indicate, these are issues which have happened, but we cannot just look at the videos and take decisions. So we'll ask the school authorities to investigate the matter, and any student who is identified or is established to have misconducted him or herself to be sanctioned according to the rules and regulations of the school. And that's what exactly we have told the heads.
And I did read that there will be deboardingization of some of these students if it becomes necessary.
Yes, we said that where appropriate, some of the students will even be withdrawn from the exams. Some of them will be deboardingized and sent home to go and live with their parents, come to school to write the exams if they are established. But these will depend on the facts as established by the various investigation committees.
Josephine Nkrumah, of course, chairperson of NCCE, with us. Mr. Nkrumah, what do you make of what has happened and the reaction from authorities?
Well, I think what has happened really is no surprise. I think for many years, we've had a creeping culture of examination malpractices, and it's got to the point where I think students see it as a sort of entitlement. And of course, when you have school heads and teachers colluding with students or actually encouraging them in that regard, we should not at all be surprised that matters have come to this point. And I know that GES is very much aware that there are schools that are notorious for examination malpractices, and I don't know what goes on after that, but I think more needs to be done to clean up the education sector in terms of the examination space. Somebody said that when you lower the quality of education, when you cheat, it is not only at that point in time that something wrong goes on, but fundamentally, it goes to the core of our national development. So when you have a doctor who cannot perform surgery and kills patients, when you have a teacher who cannot teach properly because he or she has not gotten the requisite capacity and competence that was built from the educational facilities, then certainly we must understand that this is more than just examination and practice. And it goes further to the very fundamental unit of society, family values. What are parents doing? And how are we reinforcing positive values at home, being complemented in school? Today it's rife. Family breakups, parents who are not at home to supervise children, and you would expect that as they go to school, teachers would fill in or bridge that gap. And unfortunately, what we are seeing is worse. So the very role models that we should see are the ones who are teaching us wrong. Right. And the things that we exhibit at home and in school are the things that begin to mold the young ones. And so if we see these things happening today, we should have a serious conversation about it, accept that the examination space in our education system is sick, it is corrupt, and we should find a way of addressing this holistically. Parents, educational facilities, religious bodies, media, all of us have a role to play.
Now, let me take that back to the GES, and very strong words there from the NCCE chair. Mr. Boateng, would you agree that our education space is sick and corrupt, as Ms. Nkrumah says?
I do not intend to argue with her over some of the comments she has made, but my comment is that some of these issues are societal and systematic. You see, we are talking about the education space. It's a societal problem. I am also privy to incidents where parents themselves have attempted to buy questions for their kids. I'm privy to issues where parents have tried to influence invigilators to children during examinations. So it's more of a societal problem than an issue in the education space. But I will be the first to admit that we need to do very serious introspection. For example, why should a student in the first place even think that somebody needs to help him or her to pass examinations? That thinking alone is even problematic. So to me, it is more of a societal issue that we all need to sit together, as she has suggested, and look at what exactly how to deal with it. Because this is not the time to look at who is wrong and who is right. It's an issue that as a country we need to look at and deal with.
I want to bring a quick follow-in on that, Mr. Boateng, because in a number of the schools, and I'll give you the example of Bright Senior High School, the proprietor of the school was in on it, the headmaster of the school was also in on it, actually telling the students to attack the WASSCE invigilators and also the journalists who went there. We have these accounts from the officials and the journalists. So is it time to look closely at that possibility as well? And what's going to happen to the heads and the proprietors of that school?
Yeah, you see, let me be quick to say that that school is a private school, and therefore it's not a public school, and therefore not under Ghana Education Service. That's the first point. But it is fundamentally condemnable. I don't agree with it. I don't support it. I think that is the height of absolute. That's certain words I want to use. But for a head of a school to have encouraged students to attack somebody because he's an external invigilator or external supervisor and is coming to check things that they have been doing, it's a really very, very serious matter.
Mr. Boateng, help me understand this point. If you are a private school, do you not report to any organization? Are you not under any government organization?
You report to the National Inspectorate Board. They used to report to Ghana Education Service, but the legal framework has changed, and now they report to the National Inspectorate Board. Right.
So for the criminal activities that took on there, the Ghana Education Service will take no part in it?
No, what we have said, what we have encouraged our heads to do is to report all the criminal aspects to the police for full investigations. Even in the public schools, where deliberate destruction of public property was undertaken, we've asked the heads to report the matter to the police for investigation. So we will approach it from all the perspectives. There are some few instances where, from what we are hearing, we are yet to get the full reports. But from what we are hearing, some of them will even have to be taken through counseling, and we are exploring all that. When we get to the point where we get the full report on the matters, we will come out differently on even specific actions against specific individuals and specific persons.
President Nkrumah, quickly, so we do see that there's a sort of a decay of the moral fiber being shown here on these school campuses. And the question would be, where is the sense of patriotism? Where is the sense of duty as citizens? That's where you weigh in.
Yes, and thank you very much. And quickly, let me respond to the Deputy Director General and say that indeed, it is true, there are parents who collude with the school authorities, with teachers and whatnot to misconduct themselves. So I do fully agree with him in that score. But it goes to show the broken system or the broken value system in our society, and something that NCCE has begun to talk about. We started talking about this seriously in 2017, and so with all our youth programs, for instance, where we have our civic education clubs, where we interact and engage the young ones, the issues of values has been mainstreamed into all our engagements with them, to begin to reevaluate their values as individuals and understand how their values impact on everything that they do and how they contribute to them being, being beneficial to society or being an absolute menace to society. So yes, there is that conversation that must be amplified. NCC is doing its bit, but I believe very strongly that every one of us must be on board. We are quickly going to look at the national family policy and see how it addresses issues of values, because that is the basic unit of society that must begin to mold each and every individual. And of course, that is reinforced at the level of education as children go into schools. So yes, the two main molding institutions, the family unit and the educational unit, must step up to our role in molding citizens that really contribute to our national development. And it's not at all, should not at all be seen as just an issue of the National Commission for Civic Education. We should look at it holistically, and all parties must be on board. Apart from condemning these acts, we must begin to have a serious conversation about where we are going in terms of our values. Let's take a serious look at ourselves, be honest with the fact that the values of yesterday are typically not what are being practiced or espoused today. And once we do that, we would be able to make headway.
Thank you very much, Josephine Nkrumah,
yes,
chairperson of the NCCE. I just want to get a quick closing word from Mr. Boateng. In the case of Indera Jakpa Senior High School, there was a specific challenge where the students turned off the stabilizer, and so it will be difficult to get electricity going into the school, without which it will be difficult to hold some activities in the school. Has that been addressed so far?
We are fully aware of that. We know that the Municipal Security Council has gotten involved. I am privy to the fact that some sanity has been restored and life is gradually returning to normal in that school. But you see, let me make this point before I continue. We also have some aspects of our societal life that we need to look at when we attempt to address this matter. As I speak to you, on social media, there are a group of citizens of this country who sit in their own homes, manufacture questions, they call examination questions, put them on social media, and tell students that these are the questions you are going to meet in the class, in the examination hall. Some of them even manage to sell these question papers to some vulnerable students. These students get involved in these things. They go to the examination hall, having concentrated on these supposed questions. They get frustrated because they are disappointed, and they add up to some of these unfortunate developments. Unfortunately, some of these platforms are known platforms, and yet it's difficult to apprehend them because they are using SIM cards which are not registered.
Right. So
that's why I continue to say that it's a big societal problem that we need everybody.
Now, it's a bit, Mr. Boateng, it's a bit challenging to appreciate the fact that all I need to outwit the Ghana Education Service, the Ghana Police Service, and the Ghana CID is an unregistered SIM card, Mr. Boateng.
Yeah, you see,
that all I need to beat the system is to have an unregistered SIM card.
Yes, you see, exactly, because you see, the problem is that it is difficult now to monitor the media space because of social media. And more especially when you can't even track the people. What else do you do? All what we can do as a service is report to the security agencies. I can assure you, I can tell you, and I have the evidence, that WAEC has been battling with this issue of these fake examination questions over years now.
Right. Right, Mr. Boateng.
The point I'm making is that all these aspects are part of the problem.
Mr. Boateng, we'll have to wrap up this part of the conversation here. Thank you very much for joining us. Anthony Boateng is Deputy Director General for the Ghana Education Service. Josephine Nkrumah chairs the National Commission on Civic Education.